Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel Best IT Solutions, and this is a continuous series of Java interview question answer series, and in this video tutorial I am going to discuss most asking Spring Boot questions in interview. So let's start. So my first question is what is Spring Boot? So it is a framework provided by Spring that helps to easily create standalone production-grade applications. It provides opinionated view of dependencies for simplification of build configuration, recommended for building microservices. So, what is Spring Boot means? Spring Boot is a framework which is provided by the Spring that helps to easily create standalone and production-grade applications. It means through this Spring Boot framework, we can easily create production-grade and standalone applications. It provides a opinionated view of dependencies for simplification of build configuration. That means during the creation of the project, when mention what type of dependency we require in one project, and according to that, Spring Boot automatically created the project based opinionated view of the project. And second question is advantage. What is the advantage of Spring Boot than Spring MVC? Easy to create standalone production-grade applications, and second is provide different starters templates for simplification of dependencies and build configuration, and third advantage is embedded server support, that is Apache Tomcat embedded in before in Spring MVC we need to add Tomcat server manually, but in Spring Boot there is an inbuilt Apache Tomcat server embedded. Can directly deploy and run the applications. No requirement of XML-based configurations. Mostly configurations are done by the annotation build and based configurations like live.xml and spring.xml. These files are not required here. In Spring MVC, we require web.xml, the spring.xml file, but in Spring Boot, we don't require this XML file. And provide production ready features such as health checks, information of applications, and other metrics also. And what is the latest version of Spring Boot and its new features? So now the latest version of Spring Boot is in today's date. The latest version of Spring Boot is 2.5.4, released on September 2021, and its new features are new features are launched in this version, like support of Java 16. Support for gradle 7 like maven gradle, so gradle 7 support, and enhanced Docker image building, new mechanism for data source initialization. Also the HTML documentations published by the project has an updated look and feel with some new features. So these are the new features launched in this Spring Boot 2.5.4 version. And what is Spring Initializer? Spring Initializer is used to create our project structure with help of Maven or Gradle. It will create our project structure from the spring.io website and also download required dependencies. So Spring Initializer, through this Spring Initializer, we are creating the structure of the project. And there is a website called spring.io. In that website, we are entering the project name and the group ID, artifact ID, and the required dependency. And according to that, if a most opinionated and build project has created, we can import that project and we can directly open in any ID, STS or Eclipse or IntelliJ IDEA or Redmins. What is Spring Boot starter? What are the common starters you have used in your project? So Spring Boot starters means starters are the templates provided by the Spring Boot. So these are the templates which are provided by the Spring Boot that provide dependencies to our applications. They are generally, the starters are generally a bundle of many dependencies. Like the one starter is a combination of some group or bundle of many dependencies. Some common starters are like Spring Boot starter web. In this starter web there are many dependencies are there. And Spring Boot starter parent and Spring Boot starter JPA. These are the Spring Boot starter. like many starters are provided by the Spring Boot. What is default port of the Tomcat and how can change the port? So the default port is every application has default port. So the default port of Tomcat is 8080. And to change that port, we can use in 3 to 4 ways. We can change that port, and most commonly use server.port followed 8080. In application properties file, if we write server.port and we mention the port number, then the port will change. And another way we can change, like use command line dserver.port command line hyphen dserver.port equal to 8082 or 8081. Default port is 8080. And another way, using Spring application class, we can like new Spring application and a custom and new application Spring application. We can pass the argument custom application.class.set default properties collection.single to nmap server.port, and we can mention the required port number here .run as. In this way, we can also change the port. And another way, like customizing embedded server configurations in this config.xml file. So the order in this way also we can change the config.xml file. We can change also here. And the order of execution is importance of embedded server configurations, and then command line arguments, then properties file, then Spring application class. This is the order of executions. Which one is which are given more preferences. Can I change the embedded server? Yes, we can change the embedded server, but first we need to remove the dependency of Tomcat from the Spring starter web, and next add the dependency to pom.xml file of any other server you want to use, like undertow, jetty, native, which server you want to use, you can add the dependency. To change the embedded server, first we need to remove the existing dependency, and we need to add the new dependency, new server dependency there, the pom.xml file. Where do you deploy your Spring Boot application? So we can deploy our Spring Boot application in Pivotal, Cloud Foundry, PCF, or AWS, or Tomcat, or WebLogic, etc. In any of them, we can deploy our Spring Boot application. How you deploy your Spring Boot app? As a jar or var? So we can deploy as a jar or var both ways. If external servlet container like standalone, Tomcat, or WebLogic are present, then deploy it as a var. We can deploy it as a jar or var also, in both ways, but if their external servlet container are present, then deploy it as a var, Tomcat or WebLogic, any one server. How to generate var from Spring Boot application? To generate a var in Spring Boot application, first we need to follow some steps, like first add packaging as var during the creation of the project, and provide scope of Tomcat as provided, and then inside our application extend Spring main application class with Spring Boot Servlet Initializer. This thing is important. We need to extend Spring Boot Servlet Initializer to our main Spring Boot class. And question number 11. What is the default logging that Spring Boot provides? The logback, it provides us transitive dependency in Spring Boot starter web. The logback is default provided by the Spring Boot. Other external logging techniques are log4j and Java util logging, Apache Commons logging. Any of them we can also use. What are the common annotations that use in Spring Boot? In Spring Boot, we are using many annotations, but some common annotations are like @Spring Boot application, @service, @controller, @repository, @request mapping, @consume, @produce, @path variable, @get mapping, @post mapping, @put mapping, @delete mapping, @exception, @controller advice. Like many more annotations are used in Spring Boot application. what is SpringBoot Application annotation? So these annotations consist of three annotations like @Componentscan and @Enable Auto Configuration, @Configurations. These three annotations are combined together and one annotation used, that is @SpringBoot Application. Also, this annotation marks the main class in Spring Boot from where application will start. Also, this SpringBoot application marks the main class in Spring Boot from where application will start. What is Componentscan? Similarly, it scans the class path. The Componentscan annotation, it scans the class path for classes and dependencies so that all the classes that are marked as component would be auto-discoverable and registered as beans in Spring application context. That is, this Componentscan annotation scans the class path, that is our resources folder class path. It will scan and also scan the classes and dependencies so that all the classes which are marked as component, that will be created as bean in the IOC container. What is the use of @enable auto configuration? So it will provide best opinionated configurations based on the dependencies added to the class path. Whichever dependencies added to the class path, they will give creation of project or after creating the project. So it will provide the best opinionated configurations. @enable auto configurations. Automatically it will configure the project whichever dependencies are found in the class path. So difference between controller and REST controller. Now what is the difference between them? The controller is a stereotype annotation and the REST controller is a specialized annotation. That is, controller is used for a stereotype annotation and REST controller is for a special purposes. It is a specialized annotation, and it creates a map model object and find a view. Controller create a map model object and find a view. Always it will search for a view, but REST controller doesn't search for a view. It will directly return the data. And in controller cannot write response directly to HTTP. Response is directly as JSON or XML. In REST controller, response can directly write in JSON or XML format, but in controller can write directly in HTTP. And need to use response body @ in controller. If we write controller using, then we need to write response body to return the data. But in REST controller, we did not, because REST controller is the combination of @controller plus @response body. So @CRUD repository and @JP repository difference. So what is the difference between @CRUD repository and @JP repository? So CRUD repository provides methods that supports for basic CRUD operations: create, read, update, delete. So this CRUD repository used for the basic CRUD operations, and the JP repository, it extends paging and sorting repository, and that extends the CRUD repository. So it provides usable method that supports for JP implementation. In JP repository also, all the methods that are present in CRUD repository are also present in JP repository also, because JP repository extends paging and sorting repository, and that extends the paging and sorting repository extends the CRUD repository. So indirectly we can get all the methods of CRUD repository in JP repository. Additional some extra methods like that are support for JP implementation also, that will also we can found in JP repository. Which Spring Boot starter provides embedded server? So Spring Boot starter web. This is a Spring Boot starter web. It contains the Spring Boot starter tomcat as a transitive dependency. How can I use any other logging frameworks like log4j? So by default, Spring framework use logback. So if we want to use log4j or any other logging framework, so first remove default support for logback in pom.xml file. So first step is we need to remove the default support of logback from the pom.xml. And then we need to add the dependency of logging framework in pom.xml that we want to. Which logging framework we want to use, that dependency we need to add in the pom.xml file after removing the logback dependency. Then add configuration file for logging framework in classpath. We also add a configuration file in the classpath under SRC main resources. For example, log project.xml, in which file that log are going to store, that file also need to be added. Okay. So in this way we can use any other logging framework. How to send logs to file? To send logs to file, use logging file or logging path in application.properties file. We need to mention logging file or logging path in application.properties file to send logs to the file. So, like for example, logging.file equal to, we should write in application.properties file logging.file equal to, and we need to give the location, that is D drive or E drive, and the detail path in which folders is containing that file. Or we can also use logging.path equal to d colon the SpringBoot application or project root project. So if both are using default file name, always logging.path is spring.log. If we are not mentioning any file name, then the default file is spring.log. In that spring.log, it will be stored the logs. But if we mention any file name, logging.file like application.log or any ps.log, then that file will, in that file logs will be stored. If both are used, logging.file and logging.path, then logging.path is ignored because the logging.path is the default path, default file spring.log. So it will be ignored, and logging.file, which file we have mentioned in logging.file, that file logs will be stored. What is banner in SpringBoot? So banner, logo that is shown before SpringBoot application start. Where we are starting our SpringBoot applications, a logo we show in the console. That logo is called the banner. We can either turn off the logo or customize the logo also. So we can turn off that logo, or we can change the logo also. We can customize it according to our wish. We can change also the logo at banner. How to customize the banner? How can we customize the banner? So to customize the banner, first add banner.txt in class under SRC main resources. So first we need to add a file, that which banner file we want to change. That file we need to add, like banner.txt in class path, like SRC main resources in that path. In the resources folder we need to add that file, and the extension supported file types are .txt or .gif or .png or .jpg. Any of that formatted file we can add, and we can set that file. How can you handle exception in SpringBoot? So we have used centralized exception handling techniques for all exceptions occurs in SpringBoot. So there is a centralized exception handling techniques in SpringBoot applications. So through these centralized exception handling techniques, we can handle the exceptions in SpringBoot. So for centralized exception handling techniques, we need to follow some steps. Like first, we need to create a exception class, and we need to extend with @response entity exception handler to that class. And the second thing is, first we need to create a class, and we need to extend with response entity exception handler. And second, annotate with that class as a controller advice, because the exceptions thrown from the controller is going to be handled. So we need to mention controller advice. And if our controller is the REST controller, then we can write also REST controller advice. And create method that handle exceptions. In that class, we need to create the method which type of exception is going to handle. Like annotate the method with, after creating the method, we need to annotate the method with @exception handler and we need to pass an argument as value equal to which type exception going to handle, like value equal to username.conexceptions or array index of the exceptions or any custom exceptions we are going to handle. That type of exceptions value we need to pass the value. So in this way, we need to step 4 steps. First, we need to create a class and we need to extend with responsive exception handler. This is the exception class, and then we need to annotate with the controller advice to handle the controller exception. Then we need to create the any number of methods there, and each method we need to annotate with exception handler, or we can ask the type of exception is going to handle. That type of exceptions we should mention in the value arguments as arguments. So what is Actuator and SpringBoot? So Actuator provides production ready features for monitoring of application in production level. So Actuator is the endpoints through which we can monitor our applications. So Actuator is helping to monitoring applications in production level. These are the endpoints. How can I expose all Actuator's endpoints? So how can we expose all Actuator endpoints? So to show the all Actuator endpoints, we need to write. First thing is we need to add Actuator dependency in the Componentscan file. After adding the Actuator dependency, we need to write management.endpoints.web.exposure.include equal to star in application.properties file. If we will write after adding the Actuator dependency, because if we will not add the Actuator dependency, my arguments will not come, like management.endpoint.web.exposure. This will not automatically come. So after adding the Actuator dependency, we should write management.endpoints.web.exposure.include equal to star. Then in application.properties file, then all Actuators will. So what are the endpoints that are exposed as default? So only 2 endpoints are exposed as default without any security, that are health and info. These 2 endpoints, health/health and /info, these 2 endpoints are exposed as default without any security. How can I change base path of Actuator endpoints? So default base path is /Actuator. But if we want to, like for example, /Actuator/health, and if we want to change, we can use management.endpoint.web.basepath in application.properties file, and we can mention that base path. Like for example, we can write management.endpoints.web.basepath equal to base-path equal to which base path? Here I have written /OCA-PROGRAM. So any base path you can add in this, any name you can mention here, and this is the base path. After this base path, we can write any endpoints. How can I disable a particular endpoint provided by an Actuator? So how can we disable a particular endpoint which is provided by the Actuator? So to disable a particular endpoint, we need to write in application.properties file management.endpoints.web.exposure.exclude. Exclude should be right in application.properties file. For example, how can we write management.endpoint.web.exposure.exclude equal to beans? That means now these bean endpoints are disabled. We cannot get these beans endpoints, and we cannot monitor these beans endpoints here. So the exclude tag will exclude these endpoints. What is DevTools in SpringBoot? So DevTools, this is a project to reflect code changes. It is used to reflect code changes in our project without manual restart of our embedded server. So if we are using DevTools, then every time we need not to manually restart our application server automatically when we changes some code in server, then it will restart automatically. And for UI related changes, it provides live reload of browser. And in UI user interface related changes, we have made some changes in the front end in UI, then it will automatically load in the browser. This is the live reload of browser. And in server level backend, if we save that data, then automatically restart the server. I want to auto restart my application every time when I do some code change in SpringBoot Application. Yes, so DevTools only we can do this. Yes, you can do so by using DevTools when you to add dependency of DevTools in pom.xml file. If we will add the dependency of DevTools in pom.xml file, then we can avail these features. How server knows what type of data to process. So we specify servers that what type of data is going to process by using two annotations, like one is @consume and another is @produce annotations. So @produces and @consumes. So @produces we are giving the parameters like application/xml, and if we pass application/json anyone, then now the server is producing that going to produce XML type of data, or if we mention JSON, then it is now going to produce JSON. Similarly, consumes, if we mention in consume annotations parameter XML, XML, that means the server can accept only XML type of data. And if we write application/JSON, now the server will going to accept consumes only JSON type of data. What if I use @repository instead of @service at service classes? So both are stereotype annotations. Nothing will happen with respect to programming error, because these @repository and @service both are the stereotype annotations. There is no error given by the compiler. But we should use them properly for documentation purpose. In service class, we should write the @service. In repository class, DAO class, we should write @repository, because this will help to another developer when he will refer our code or refer our document. How to disable specific auto configuration in SpringBoot? So to disable a particular auto configuration from SpringBoot, we need to exclude tag, like in enable auto configuration or SpringBoot application. In any annotation, in any of the annotation, we can use like enable auto configuration, and in argument we can pass exclude equal to, this is the key value pair argument, exclude equal to security auto configuration class. That means this security auto configuration class is disable from the auto configuration. Similarly, we can write also in SpringBoot application also in annotation, like SpringBoot application, and in argument we can pass exclude equal to which class we disable from auto configurations. That class name should be passed. Here security auto configuration class we are passing from auto configurative features. How to run SpringBoot on random port? So the default port of SpringBoot, how to run SpringBoot on random. So the default port of tomcat is 8080. To run on random port, we should write port user server.port equal to 0. If we mention server.port equal to 0, then it will run in random port. How we can connect SpringBoot to external DB? So to connect with the external DB, we need to write some connection string, like the driver name, username, password, in application.properties file. Like first we need to add SpringBoot starter JPA dependency to our pom.xml file to avail the Hibernate support. To get the Hibernate default support of Hibernate, because in the SpringBoot starter data JPA default support for Hibernate. And then we need to write, we can write spring.jpa.hibernate gradle auto equal to none, or any auto equal to create or update we can write. And for connecting with database, we need to write a spring.dataset.url, and the database URL need to pass here. If MySQL database, then we get to pass here jdbc.mysql/localhost. This is the port number and the database name. That determines the database name. And then spring.dataset.username equal to root and spring.dataset.password. That means we need to pass the URL and username and password to the Spring dataset for connecting with the database. Also, we need to add the JPA dependency to get the Hibernate features. Note: Hibernate framework is default support for JPA Spring. How do I use a package that is not in my class path in Spring? If a particular package is not in my class path, then how can we add? To add packages, we can use @Componentscan. Inside Componentscan annotation, we need to pass the package or class which explicitly that is not in class path. For example, @Componentscan, and we can write in the we can pass the argument as key value where the base package is equal to com.oca-springboot demo. We can pass that package here. We can pass the qualified name of the package like com.oca-springboot demo. So this is the qualified name of the demo class. In this way we can add a package. So @Componentscan. So tell me about embedded containers supported by SpringBoot. So SpringBoot supported embedded containers is tomcat. SpringBoot supports embedded container like tomcat, jetty, undertow, netty. These are all web servers. Tomcat, jetty, undertow are used for web-based applications, and jetty server is used for reactive programming. So Tomcat, jetty, undertow, these servers are web-based applications, and netty server is used for reactive programming. So this embedded container, these containers, these servers are embedded with the Spring Boot. I want to see only fatal error warn logs in console. How can I do that? So to see these errors, first we need to add logging.level to set log levels in Spring Boot. So logging, we can use this way, that logging.level.com, and we can mention that SpringBoot application name here, demo programming. So logging.level.com.demo programming equal to warn. In this way we can write logging.level.com demo programming equal to fatal, or equal to error, or equal to info. So that particular warn error info log will be shown. So what is meant by relaxed binding in Spring Boot? So key we use in environment property does not need to exact match of property name. So whichever key we are using in environment property, we need not to the exact match, because if the property name is like OCA-PROGRAM, key we can use like OCA-PROGRAM or OCA-program, or capital we can write OCA-PROGRAM. So exactly we need not to same key we need not use in the environment property. So this feature is called elastic property, because we can change some alphabetical orders here. What is live reload of server? Provided by DevTools in Spring Boot, which is used for live reload of server. Require dependency of DevTools in complex file. and it triggers browser refresh whenever resource or files in classpath changes. So if any resources or files in classpath changes, it will replace our browsers. It's called live reload. In order to do auto reload in browsers, live reload plugin needs to be installed in browser. How do I exclude static content from auto restart or reload? So if we want that some contents need not to be auto restart by DevTools, then we can use a property like spring.devtools.restsrt.exclude. We need to use this tag. For example, how can we use? We can use like spring.devtools.restsrt.exclude equal to static / star star. So now star star means we can pass that file name, which files we need not to load or automatically start. Or if the path is our template, then we can also pass the /templates and that particular file name which we want to exclude from the auto restart. How can we create custom endpoint in Spring Boot? So creating a custom endpoint this is a long process you need to follow for creating a custom endpoints. Like first is for create custom endpoint, first we need to create an actuator, because first if we not create actuator, then how can we create endpoint? First we need to create actuator. The step to create endpoints in Spring Boot are first we need to create a class, annotate with that class are update component, and that endpoint called id equal to subscribe demo program. This means this subscribe demo program is the endpoints now. So we need to mention this to annotations update component and update endpoint in that class. And now the endpoints will be actuator / subscribe demo program will create. So the full program here written to create the custom endpoints is first update component, update endpoint, id equal to subscribe demo program endpoint, and public class custom subscribe endpoints is a class we are creating here, and we are annotating these two annotations. And then we need to mention the read operation and the write operation, delete operation. So public custom subscribe, this is the method, and we are creating a map here, map of string and object details new linked as a map, and we are putting the data like details.put custom subscribe status and subscribe, and custom subscribe new custom subscribe set subscribe details. We are setting the map here, and it will return in this subscribe. In this way, we are also writing the read operations and write operations and also delete operations. So in this way, we can create a custom endpoints. Read operations, write operations, and delete operations. So what is the use of Spring Boot starter parent? So first, Spring Boot starter parent provides UTF-8 encoding and repackaging jar and makes it executable. It will repackage the jars file and will make it executable. And when we run maven clean install package in Spring Boot, we will get two jar files. We will get two jar files when we will run the maven clean install. And if my Spring Boot application name is demo programming, then the jar will be demo programming 0.0.1.jar, and another is demo programming 0.0.1.original.jar. My project has a custom parent. In parent, how can I add Spring Boot parent in pom.xml? So my project has a custom parent. So how can we add that parent in pom.xml? So first, use dependency management section in pom.xml file. We need to add the dependency only. So the dependency in this way we can add like dependency management and dependency group ID. We need to add org.spring.boot, and in artifact ID we need to mention that parent like Spring Boot starter parent, and also we need to add the version. So the dependency management section. So adding a dependency only we can add a parent. How can you do caching in Spring Boot? So caching is a mechanism to caching is a mechanism to lower the execution time, time of a particular process. Like we can do caching through annotations in Spring Boot as well as use of client like Z_C. So in this two way, like through annotations and also we can use the caching client like Z_C. So preferred DB for caching is Redis. Redis is a caching DB. Why use cache in Spring Boot? So why we are using cache? Because through caching the response rendering time will slow. Like to increase performance and reduce latency in returning response, we are using caching. Why using caching is to increase the performance of a application, and caching reduce latency in returning response. It will reduce the latency because it reduces the time returning the response. So here we can take example, a request without cache response rendering time is 160 milliseconds, and same request with cache, that same request with cache response rendering time is only 30 milliseconds. So the request without cache, it will take time for returning response 160 milliseconds, and that same request with cache facility, it will take only 30 milliseconds. How can you implement annotation based cache? So in annotation based cache, enable caching using @enable. There are three annotations are there, like first @enable caching, @cacheable, and @catchput and @cacheable. And in main class we should also write @enable caching. So this cacheable, catchput and cacheable we can use for @cacheable for getting the request, and @catchput for update, want to put response in cache. If we want to update or we want to put response in cache, then we can use catchput, and cacheable means if we want to delete. If we want to delete, use cacheable. We can use that time cacheable. So to implement the cache, we can use this cacheable, catchput and cacheable. What is profiling in Spring Boot? So this is a most asking interview questions. What is profiling in Spring Boot? So profiling is used to load different configurations based on environment. It can be done through annotations like @profile. There is annotation @profile. Through that annotation we can set the profile. So profiling is used to load different configurations based on environment. So in different, if we are creating three profiles, like development and QA and production, in each profile we are mentioning the different configurations, and to specify which profile we want to work, we can use annotations like profile spring.profile.active equal to dev. That means the development profile will be active. If we let spring.profiles.active equal to prod, that means it will load the production configurations. So in this way we can triggering the particular profiles. We can also programmatically set by implementing web application initializer and overriding the starter method. So override the web to utilize the web application initializer and override the startup method. That startup method we can also mention which profile we want to use now. Active, which profile is active now. The next question is, I have an environment and I want my Spring Boot app to run on different server ports in each environment. How can I do that? So create application properties for different environment. First, if you have three environments, then you need to create 3 application.properties files and use server.port in each specific environment application property. So in each application.properties file, you mention the server.port and particular port number you should use. And how you can create the application properties in the environment. Example is application dev.properties. So in this way, you can create an environment and you can run each environment in different ports. And to trigger a specific profile by using spring.profile.active. So if we write spring.profile.active dev, then dev profiles will be run. I use @transaction annotation. So these transaction annotations provide abstractions for transactions like for creation of transaction, for commit and rollback. So these transaction annotation provides abstractions of transaction, creation, commit and rollback. For example, if we create like OCA transaction, OCA TRX, an object will be created equal to dependency.get transaction, and through that we are commit the particular transaction through OCA transaction commit, and also we can roll back to OCA transaction dot rollback. So that object of OCA transaction we can commit, rollback, create also. I want my bean to execute and take more priority over auto configuration. Is it possible? Yes. If we want to give a preference to a particular bean, we can do by using the annotations like @conditional on missing bean. So if we write like @conditional on missing bean, then this here we have written private programming springboot questions. That means. And if we mentioned @conditional missing bean above it, that means this bean is have the more priority and it is going to execute fast. In this way, we can give a more priority to a particular bean of the auto configuration switches. How can you do unit testing in Spring Boot? This question is also most probably asked. So, using unit testing, we can use JUnit and JUnit plus Mockito or test-ng plus Mockito. Any on framework we can use either Mockito framework or test-ng, or we can use the by default JUnit framework which is provided with this tool. We prepare how we can do that. First, we need to prepare a mock object and test each layer like controllers and implementation. We need to mock that object and individually through that mock object we can test each layer like the controller layer, the service layer and the repository layer. Okay, thank you guys this much in this video, and if you learned something from this video tutorial, you can like, share and subscribe this channel. Thank you guys.